my name is Amber Fraser-Manning. Thank you so much for coming out today. I'm a member of the Action Together Network of Connecticut, New London County chapter. And that is a national network that's then broken down by state and then again by county. And I thought it was very important to join something like that so that I could connect everything that I'm concerned about on a national level, on a state level, to something that's going on and affecting where I live right here and right now, and meet other people that live here right now that are concerned about the same things. It keeps you from feeling disconnected, and it keeps your feet on the ground while you're fighting for what you believe in. And that's very important to me. But today's about so much more than that. I'm honored to speak, not because of what I do, but because of who I am. I stand before you now as a bisexual woman and an ally to share a poem called 17 Things, whose author, his name is Egan, was gracious enough to grant me permission to tell you today, because there's so much to understand. 17 things you have to learn for yourself as a lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questioning, intersex, asexual, pansexual, or otherwise queer youth by the time you're 17. One is that the first Pride was a riot. I don't mean that it was full of laughter or that it was some grand party where everyone spiraled up to dance among the stars, because the only glittering that night was broken glass on cobblestones. The first Pride was a riot on the back streets of New York, and they never tell us that that night we won. They never tell us that it was the only protest in a decade full of turmoil, where the cops had to hide from the shouting, dancing rioters who fought to reclaim the only land they've ever been able to say was theirs. Stonewall is only an echo of a name in our history. Christopher Street Liberation Day, even less. But I swear to you, the first thing that you need to know is the first Pride was a riot. And two, around the same time it took place, it was a debated topic in the gay community whether or not it would be too bold to say that we weren't mentally ill. Which, three, homosexuality was only removed from the American Psychiatric Association's list of mental illnesses in 1974. Congratulations. All it took was a riot. And 5 more years of protest before they decided with a vote that we were not actually mentally ill. Except for there are still teenagers being tortured today in what some dare blaspheme as therapy, used to destroy their self-identity in the hopes of making them normal. Except for the queer community still carries overwhelmingly high rates of poverty and homelessness and depression. Did you know that? 5, over half the children forced into conversion therapy commit suicide. Or 6, that before the AIDS crisis, lesbians were considered hangers-on by much of the gay community. Because it turns out, 7, you can wear a rainbow on your shirt and still be a bigot. There are people who stick rainbows in their ears or wear them on their fingers or slap them across their cheeks in badges of defiance and will still hate you for the color of your skin, or the size of your thighs, or your gender, or the genders that you like to kiss or don't. Don't ask me why this happens. It just does. I think it might have been we've all been taught to hate ourselves for so long that we don't know how to create a space with no hate. Or maybe it's that the space seems too small because 8, there are people who will tell you that you are not enough, that you do not reach some magical benchmark of gay enough to pass through the gate even, especially when you are some flavor of the rainbow other than straight out gay. 8, that is BS. 8, those people are BS. 8, you are enough. 8, there is always enough room. 9, there is no overarching homosexual agenda. Sorry. We're all just kind of flailing along in here trying to figure out some way to make it work, when most of us have nothing in common except that society looked at us in different ways and decided we didn't fit. So we could all go be misfits together under one big rainbow flag. But just so you know, 10, there are plenty of flags. There is one for you, I promise. And 11, misfits may not all need the same things, but we do need to stick together, especially in a world where 12 refer to point 7. There are lesbians who hate other lesbians for having the audacity to be born in a body that the world looked at and assumed boy. Which brings me to 13. There is so much to understand. 14. You need to understand, because we need to stick together. And to stick together, we don't have to be the same, but we do have to understand. And it will be hard because you were probably thrown into this world with no warning, because 15, being queer is not genetic. And we are not unique among minorities in that we must collect our heritage through broken bits of history and research in a world constantly working to erase us like we were yesterday's wrong answers. But we are unique, and that when we try to prove our legacy, we can be laughed down or re-erased or flat out ignored. But I swear to you, you have a history as old as Alexander the Great, as brilliant as Sappho, as dignified as Abraham Lincoln, and as proud as Eleanor Roosevelt. But even with that behind us, 16, they have always watched us die. Because 16, even though the bystander effect is BS, no one ever mentions that Kitty Genovese was a lesbian. 16, no, Ronald Reagan was a mass murderer and needs to be remembered that way. 16, our children, your brothers and sisters and siblings of all stripes and colors and sexualities and genders are being murdered every day through neglect and rejection and hate. 16, there is an entire generation of gay and bisexual men missing from history because the government chose to do nothing when they were dying by the thousands. 16, we died from disease, and we died from going back into the closet, and died for staying there, and we died for coming out. 16, they laughed at our deaths because they believed their God was punishing us for daring to love. 16, with grieving, ensured that the ashes of your forerunners rest on the lawn of the White House today. Because 16, they have always watched us die. 17, you are allowed to be angry. You do not have to be one of the nice gays or one of the nice trans people or sweet or kind or educate the rest of the world in anything but a yell. You are allowed to be so furious that it scalds your bones. The way we are forgotten and passed over, and the way comes July, we are expected to go back to dying in silence and mourning our dead and kissing in closets where no one can be offended at the sight of us. You are allowed to be angry and scream down the stars so they shatter like broken glass at your feet. Because you know what? One, the first cry was a riot. Folks, thank you so much for coming out in unity today, all over the nation. It's so important, and I just want to say personally that I see you, and I love you. I'm so proud.